The Galactic Academy's environmental hazard training facility hummed with nervous energy as Professor Zelthor's fourth period class filed into the simulation chamber. Gull adjusted her protective visor, her crystalline fingers trembling slightly as she took her designated position. The Krillian exchange student had heard stories about these drills, whispered in the dormitories late at night when the starlights dimmed. Today's exercise will simulate a Category 7 seismic event, Professor Zelthor announced, his 6 eyes scanning the assembled students. Your survival instincts will be tested. Your ability to respond under pressure will determine whether you pass or fail. Gull's internal temperature dropped 2 degrees, Category 7. She'd never experienced anything above a Category 3. Her homeworld's stable tectonic plates meant earthquakes were theoretical concepts, studied in textbooks, never felt in reality. She glanced around the chamber at her fellow students. There was Vorn, the Skelthian whose exoskeleton was already rattling with anticipation. Beside him stood 3 Yularian triplets, their shared consciousness allowing them to coordinate perfectly during emergencies. Even Rix, the usually confident Dravian warrior scholar, looked tense. And then there was Jack. The human sat slouched in his chair at the back of the chamber, arms crossed, chin tucked against his chest. His eyes were closed. The fool was actually sleeping. "Is the human prepared?" Gull whispered to her neighboring station, a Thorian named Kess. Kess's gills fluttered with amusement. "That's Jack for you. Humans are strange. They find these drills boring." Boring? Gull couldn't comprehend it. How could anyone find a Category 7 seismic simulation boring? These drills had sent students into medical shock. Last semester, Avraxian had fractured 3 of his defensive plates from the sheer stress. "Simulation commencing in 10 seconds, the automated voice announced. Gull's heartstone pulsed rapidly. She gripped the safety handles, her training echoing through her mind. "Brace position. Protect vital organs. Control your breathing. Don't panic. 987. She looked at Jack again. Still asleep. His chest rose and fell in the steady rhythm of deep slumber. 6, 5, 4. The other students tensed. Vorn's exoskeleton locked into defensive mode. The Yularian triplets synchronized their breathing. 3, 2, 1. The world exploded into chaos. The simulation chamber's gravity generators reversed and inverted, creating the sensation of the ground tearing itself apart. The walls projected holographic fractures spreading like lightning. The sound system roared with the grinding of continental plates, the screaming of metal, the thunderous collapse of structures. The floor beneath them bucked and heaved with violence that mimicked a planet dying. Gull screamed. She couldn't help it. Every survival instinct in her crystalline biology fired at once. Her body locked up completely, her joints fusing in primal terror. Around her she heard similar cries of panic. Vorn had curled into an immobile ball. The Yularian triplets had actually fainted, their consciousness overloaded by the shared trauma. Kess was making a high-pitched keening sound that hurt Gull's auditory sensors. The simulation intensified. A holographic building toppled toward them. The temperature spiked and plummeted randomly. Emergency alarms wailed. Red warning lights strobed across frozen, terrified faces. "Respond to the emergency." Professor Zelthor's voice boomed through the chaos. "Move to safety positions." "This is not a suggestion." But Gull couldn't move. None of them could. Their bodies had betrayed them, ancient evolutionary programming overriding conscious thought. When faced with such overwhelming disaster, their species froze. Better to remain still, to go unnoticed by the disaster than to move and attract attention. It was a survival mechanism that had served their ancestors well in different circumstances. Here, in a galaxy where earthquakes could shatter entire cities, it was a death sentence. Through her paralyzed terror, Gull's eyes drifted to the back of the chamber. Jack hadn't moved, but not because he was frozen. He was still asleep. His head had lolled to one side and a small trail of drool glistened on his chin. The human's breathing remained steady, undisturbed, peaceful, while the simulation raged around him, while his classmates experienced what their primitive brains interpreted as the apocalypse. Jack slept. The earthquake drill reached its crescendo. A simulated ceiling beam crashed down, stopping mere inches above the students in a carefully calculated holographic projection. The sound was deafening. Jack snorted in his sleep and shifted position, getting more comfortable. "Simulation complete," the automated voice announced. The chaos stopped instantly. The lights normalized. The sound cut off. The floor stabilized. Gull found she could move again, though her entire body felt like it had been replaced with lead. Around her, students slowly unfroze, gasping, crying, some vomiting from the stress. The medical team rushed in to attend to those who had fainted or injured themselves in their panic. Professor Zelthor moved through the chamber, his expression grave. 23 students. 23 failures. Not one of you responded appropriately. You froze. In a real emergency, you would all be dead. His eyes swept across the devastated class until they landed on the back of the room. Except one, every head turned. Jack was stretching, yawning, blinking awake as if from a pleasant nap. He looked around at the chaos of sobbing, traumatized students with genuine confusion. "Did I miss something?" he asked, rubbing his eyes. Professor Zelthor's mandibles clicked in what might have been approval or disbelief. "Cadet Jack, you are the only student who maintained stable vital signs throughout the entire simulation." Jack shrugged. "Yeah, well, I'm from California. We had earthquakes all the time. You just sleep through them unless they're really bad." He glanced at the simulation specs on the wall display. "Category 7? That's like what, a 5.8 magnitude? Maybe a 6.2? We'd call that a strong one, but not evacuation level." Gull stared at him, her mind struggling to process this information, the most terrifying experience of her life. The drill that had broken an entire class of galactic students was something humans considered a minor inconvenience, something they slept through. Jack stood and stretched again. "So did I pass?" Professor Zelthor was silent for a long moment. Then his mandibles clicked again and Gull realized he was laughing. "Yes, Cadet Jack, you passed. You all have much to learn from your human classmate." As the class filed out, still shaking, still traumatized, Gull approached Jack carefully. "How?" she asked simply. Jack smiled and placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Evolution, I guess. Humans lived on a death world. We had to learn not to panic at every disaster, or we'd have gone extinct. You get used to it." Gull looked at this strange, sleepy creature from Earth with newfound respect. Humans weren't just tough. They were something far more terrifying. They were unimpressed by the universe's attempts to kill them,